Hit it. Hit it.
I'm recording now, and
Oh wait. Have we gone live?
yeah, literally just as it have we gone live?
Okay,
Yeah.
well I've got to go shut Alexa up, so I will be right back, guys.
Okay.
See? Listen, do you hear her?
I hear. I'm gonna
Mad.
go get some
Alexa gets mad.
alcohol and
That's fair. Well, there's 3 of us now.
I'm right
Great.
here. I'm right.
We're on the spot to be entertaining, huh?
I'm always entertaining, so luckily
All right.
I have nothing.
All right, sorry. So I'm back. Okay. We don't have Joe yet, but for any I should have done this before we started. Would one of our Twitter affiliates here like to go tell everybody that we are playing Dungeons and Dragons right now?
Oh, I already did that like 5 minutes
Okay.
ago.
Sweet.
Nice.
Thank you so much.
Thanks, Joe.
At any rate, welcome back to Dark Sunfire Sand, a subsidiary of Adventure Hook Core. I am your host and Dungeon Master and Wanderer, Aaron Campbell. Today we don't have Marc yet. He's supposed to be showing up soon. He will be here when that does happen. We will take a brief break so we can reformat and be right back in the swing of things. So let's pick up with Joe. Let's go around the table.
I am Joe Annabi. I play Geza Akos, our celestial exarch Birdman.
I am Joe Millard or Joseph Millard, as it says below my face, and I play Crocus the half giant. Crocus the half giant.
My name is Emelie O'Hara. I play Desi Dorada, the half-elf bard.
Bada boom, easy in, easy out.
And I'm Robert Randle, and I play Ma'ak Ka'ari, a Thrycreen telepath.
Okay, so before we get into things tonight, I had an announcement I wanted to make. This Wednesday is the release of my debut as a writer for comic books. Co-writing West of Sundown with Tim Seeley, interior art by Jim Terry, the incredible Jim Terry, and then we got colors by Triana Farrell and lettered by Crank. So that's out this Wednesday, and there is a host of covers you get to pick from. There's my classic movie poster style covers. We've got B cover by Jim Terry. We've got C cover by Tim, which is a Virgin cover. We've got okay, so this is where we get into. I'm not exactly sure what the ratios are. I believe the 1-in-5 cover is by the awesome Skylar Patridge. Good friend of mine, lives up in Santa Fe. Her career is really starting to take off, doing a lot of work for DC now. Got her. The mysterious Suspiria. I don't really know much about this individual at all, other than Tim knows them. They're not, as far as I know, there's no presence on social media, but an incredible sultry cover by Suspiria. Richard Pace is doing a cover. We've got Tim Daniels doing a cover, which is Tim Daniels is also the graphic designer for Vault, and he's the one who's been doing all of the trade dress on my movie style posters. So all that movie shit, all that stuff that makes my covers look like a movie poster, Tim did. And then last but not least, we've got a double threat from Francesco Francavilla, a 1-in-75 cover and a 1-in-100 foil cover by him. So try to get those when you can, because people are already posting these bad boys online. 150 for the 1-in-75, $200 I've seen for the 1-in-100.
That's crazy.
And it's not even out yet. It's incredible. And not only that, like, there's also if you are super lucky and your shop doesn't gouge you on it, there's a one per shop only cover by James O'Barr, which is a homage to a classic Bernie Wrightson cover from oh man, I can't remember what the original book was. It might have been a House of Mystery or like one of the EC books, but it's great. And then there's a few other like really rare covers floating around out there in the ether, which I think probably have already gotten gobbled up. One by Nathan Gooden, who draws Barbaric, which was only available through the Vault like online store. I think the website was called Whatnot, but I think that was like something they did like a live stream, and I'm pretty sure those probably sold out. So keep trying there. But also, speaking of Barbaric, I'm doing a variant for a Barbaric one shot coming up with interiors by Richard Pace, and so because I love to like sculpt shit, like make models and stuff, I decided, you know what, fuck it, I'm gonna make the axe from Barbaric. So I'm working on that fucking bad boy right now.
Awesome.
Yeah, so look for that soon.
But back to your West of Sundown, all those variant covers. Did you guys reach out to all those artists individually, or is that something Vault did? How did you get James O'Barr?
James O'Barr is good friends with Tim, so Tim just asked him to do it, and he agreed. And like you heard it here, we probably won't really talk about this anywhere else, but James was a little late getting the book in, so it was supposed to be one of the main variants, but it came in like right after the Diamond deadline, like literally like an hour after the deadline. So Vault decided to do it as a free giveaway thank you to the shops, which is I think everybody not necessarily to everyone's benefit, but to the collector's benefit, for sure, because those books are going to be like super valuable. One per shop. So I don't know how many shops ended up ordering. We ended up our print run on issue 1 was like somewhere just over 28K on issue 1. And we're already pushing a second print to get it up over 30, which, I mean, puts it at like one of the highest selling Westerns in probably the last 20 years. But we're not sure. We think it might be Vault's best-selling book to date.
Holy
Really?
shit!
Yeah.
That's great, man.
It's
Congrats.
Neck and neck with Barbaric. So
I was gonna say it's done better than Barbaric. That's amazing.
Yeah, Tim was thinking, and so this is obviously not confirmed, but Tim was kind of thinking that Barbaric was somewhere in the 27K range on the first issue before reprints. So just somewhere right around there. Like we're right neck and neck with the great Michael Morsi and Barbaric. And Barbaric is, if you haven't read Barbaric, you've got to go fucking read Barbaric, especially if you're a D&D fan. It is so fucking good.
Yeah, it's great. That first issue especially was very, very good. The second and third were fine, but the first issue was like stellar.
Oh yeah, and it's a big, because Vault usually does 20 page issues, and that first issue of Barbaric was like 38 pages or something. It was big. It was a big meaty first issue.
Yeah.
So yeah, definitely get it. The trade of the first the arc is out in hardcover. I've got a copy back there. It's awesome. Like, and it's about a barbarian and his intelligent weapon that forces him to only kill people who deserve to be killed. So like he has to couch like everything. It starts off with him in this gladiatorial tournament, and like there are certain combatants that he can kill and certain combatants that he can't. And then it has a nice little, zing at the end, because he'd basically been enslaved to this slave master who, is forcing him to fight. And, that slave master kind of gets his comeuppance. So it's great. It's great. It's super fucking fun. It felt so much like what we're doing. Like it feels like Dark Sun, that world. So
but the axe is hilarious. He's like really bloodthirsty, and he's like literally drinking the blood and like
yum yum yum.
Yeah. Yeah. Awesome. It's great. I love it. Like it's like if you want to know how to run an intelligent weapon in your game, read Barbaric.
Yeah.
So anybody else have anything they want to talk about?
Well, to follow that, actually, I usually don't talk about stuff, but I'm actually pretty proud of this. Library journal named Library Pass one of the best databases of 2021.
Oh, nice.
So it's been like kind of a payoff for a lot of the hard work that me and my colleagues have been doing. So it's I don't know. We're proud of that. It's pretty awesome.
Congrats.
Sweet.
Hell yeah, buddy.
Yeah.
So yeah, no, we gotta track down Vault. Actually, we don't have them yet. So.
Oh, okay. Yeah, you need to do that. Vault is such a great group of people doing really stellar books, and they're on the rise, and they treat their
no, it's exactly.
so well.
I mean, maybe not exactly what we're looking for, but I mean, I get as much of the adult stuff as I can.
Yeah, that is. I mean, like that's the thing. Money Shot might not be the best. As great as Money Shot is, and it's a great book, but I can see how that might be an issue for libraries.
Yeah, well, I mean, our principal market is K-12.
Yeah,
but we are growing our public library quite a bit, and we've brought in humanoids and heavy metal and a bunch of others. So
and there's plenty
like
of smut on humanoids.
Oh yeah.
There's so much smut.
And
man.
MBM and the likes all in between.
Yeah.
Well, I mean, West of Sundown would actually be great because it's a decidedly unsmutty book so far.
Cool. No, we'll talk more after.
And we're not really like, our intentions aren't to smut it up. It's like we're really sticking to the format of the spaghetti western and the Hammer horror. So Hammer horror was always I guess it's smutty in that kind of like oppressed British way, where it's like, oh, her bodice has torn slightly.
Stop, Aaron. If you keep going, I am gonna have to take a break.
Are there like exposed table legs and stuff?
Oh, Emily, stop, please. I can only take so much. I have been watching Bridgerton.
Okay, having said that, are we ready to get into things? Okay, so
one last thing. Hold on. Turning Red is better than the Batman.
Oh, shots fired.
Turning Red. What is that?
It's
Is
the
that
Disney
Pixar or
movie.
DreamWorks?
Yeah. It's the Pixar movie about a young girl who gets her period, and her period is turning into a giant red panda, but it's also about self-discovery. Better than the Batman.
I've heard about it. I know what you're talking about now.
Yeah. It's better than the Batman.
And you liked the Batman?
No, I thought the Batman was boring as shit. I also felt like it didn't capture anything that the comics had ever tried to do. It was so fucking dry, and it was paced so goddamn poorly. Sarah fell asleep when we were watching it in the movies. Fell asleep for 20 minutes.
Nice.
Yep. It was so goddamn poorly done, and it wasn't from a lack of talent. It wasn't from like they had some good scenes. It was just holy shit. They made some choices. And I'll die on that hill. I don't give a shit. Come at me. Whatever, cancel me. I don't care. Turning Red is better than the Batman.
The only part of it I've seen is the deleted scene with the Joker, which I thought was bad. So.
Batman. No, I didn't even watch that. I was so bored. It was just boring. No chemistry between like two very arguably attractive human beings, Robert Pattinson and Zoe Kravitz. Very attractive. I felt every time they were on screen, it was like two pieces of cardboard near each other. I felt nothing. So
well, I'm content to wait.
Yeah, I'll be seeing it on
not doing
HBO
theaters.
Max for free.
Yeah,
eventually.
I'm much more tempted to go see
Everything
Multiverse
Everywhere.
movie.
Yeah,
Everything Everywhere all at once.
Yeah.
I love the Daniels. I love that actress.
Michelle Yeoh. She
Yeah,
is so goddamn good. She is so good.
So that seems like more of a movie worthy of my support than Warner Brothers getting all my money.
Oh yeah, no, Michelle Yeoh kicks serious ass, and I'm glad that she's getting this big lead time.
Yeah.
Okay, so it is time for Dungeons and Dragons. All right, so episode 21. I forgot to call out last time that we had reached episode 20, double digits.
Holy shit!
Yeah.
That's episode 20 of about 3 hours. That's an awful lot of content, y'all.
Yeah. Yeah.
Sorry.
Start catching up.
No, you're welcome.
All right. So, episode 21. We are deep inside that party. The Bacchanal of Narissa has begun. And oh my God. My wife is just pounding on something in the kitchen right now.
You should go find out their name. See, my joke was that they were committing adultery or you were being cuckolded.
Yeah.
Got it.
I don't think there's much I can do. I think she's like she's making, like, we're having chicken sandwiches later. So
and she's got to kill the chicken. Yeah.
Yes, there's really nothing.
Very slightly audible.
It does not bother me at all that
Okay.
she's strangling a chicken.
I can hear it clearly.
Couldn't
but
be much
that's
more
fine.
slight.
All right, so okay. 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 The Bacchanal of Narissa has begun, and the decadence of the Athasian elite is on full display. Crystal clear water flows openly through the 2 large pools of the townhouse. Artworks of the finest craftsmanship adorn every possible surface. Exquisite frescoes cover every wall, depicting scenes of gladiatorial combat, pastoral landscapes populated by exotic beasts. And in the inner chamber of this miniature palace are body images of every conceivable sex act. Nude servants, surely enslaved, tend to every need of the guests. The most important guests are tended to by dedicated punka, their sole job to fan the guests with broad palm fronds. Attendants carry trays offering delicacies unheard of in most of your experience. And you realize Narissa must employ several Stygians when you see carafes of wine floating past in the midair, refilling empty glasses. Idle entertainment begins early with pipers, jugglers, and acrobats moving through the party, and a pair of oiled wrestlers who demonstrate their prowess in the smaller of the 2 pools. The guests pay little attention, though. This amusement is simply for ambiance. But then the general din of frivolity is pierced by the clear blast of a trumpet, and a voice calls out, "I present the terror of the..." Sorry. "I present the terror from the dead land, the onyx beetle, Haxa of the Jaez." What emerges is a Thrycreen, if Thrycreen she can even be called, unlike any you have ever seen. She stands at least 7.5 feet tall at the shoulder and is as big around as a half giant. Her carapace gleams oily black in the sunlight with lateral ridges that run in parallels down the length of her back. Her arms are thick and bulbous with horny projections at the joints, terminating in massive 3-fingered appendages, easily as large as Crocus's hands. The lower right of her 4 upper appendages has been torn away at the thorax, leaving behind a hollow cavity. But it's her head you are truly arrested by. It is not the delicate manted form normal to Ma'ak's species. 2 brutal-looking horns, roughly 4 feet long, sweep up along the central axis of her body. One, the longer, rises from the back of her head in a long, elegant arc, while the other grows from between her small black eyes in an opposing arc. Both horns bifurcate at the end, tapering to dagger-like points. This is Crocus's opponent. She comes plodding in every footfall, thunders and shakes the ground, and the rest of the party just kind of stops what it is doing and starts to kind of gape in awe at her size, and just the the shock of this creature as she comes through from the outside balcony where you first entered the townhouse. Her horns actually gouge a mark through the ceiling as she comes through the doorway and into the room where you all stand now, around the smaller pool. Boom. She comes in, and this is where she presents herself. Let me zoom in on that a little bit. Okay. So, but yeah, everybody starts to kind of hubbub to each other in whispers, starting to make comments. What do you guys do?
Does Ma'ak, does he recognize anything about this person, this species, like any ancestral memories or otherwise?
Give me that ancestral memory check.
Sure. History, I guess, in this case, right? All right. So my base roll is a 22, so at advantage is it all right, or an 18, so 22. Pretty good roll.
Okay. So, vaguely, you have a memory that at least shows you more than just the one you're looking, and you realize that these traits are kind of common amongst the Jez. The horns can tend to grow smaller and larger. The horns are usually larger on the female of the species than they are on the male. The males tend to have, instead of the two, they tend to have two horns that come out from the back and one that comes out from behind the eyes, but those horns that come out from behind tend to be shorter and narrower, whereas the female has just the one horn that rises up and is typically much longer. They are often used in the mating rituals, which you see in your ancestral memory. You yourself get the sense that you were never one of these, but you have some ancestor at some point in your long distant past who traveled in the southern regions of Tyr along the fringes of the Deadlands and knew them, perhaps even traveled with one for a short period.
That's interesting. All right. Well, anything else that comes from that, Ma'ak would pay attention to. Are we the only two Kreen in the room?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Mm-hmm. Has she spotted me yet, or does she just seem disinterested in anything?
She glances to you, pauses for a moment, but doesn't really acknowledge you. Doesn't really acknowledge anyone else. I mean, in a sense, she kind of strides in similar to the way that Neva strode in, but there's a difference. Neva strode in as if, there was a certain arrogance to the way that Neva came into the room and strode past you all, if you recall last time. Mm-hmm. She is the elite of the elite gladiators in the arena, whereas Haxa, you get a sense that she's here for a purpose. There's a bit of impatience and is probably not particularly interested in any of this high society frivolity. And
does she have any docile weapons? Githkas, Chachkas, anything like that?
No, and she doesn't even wear the a sash like you're wearing. She's
Okay, so she's barely a Kreen. Okay, yeah, fine, whatever.
Well, I mean, and it's hard to know because, of course, this is supposed to be a non-lethal weapon. It's a hand-to-hand weapon, so perhaps.
Oh, okay. Well,
she had to leave those behind.
That's a shame that she would be parted with them. But all right. Anyway, Ma'ak will probably turn to the group through meta concert. So that no one else overhears us, and she seems quite formidable. Though I do not see any crystal weapons on her. It would seem that with those horns, close combat would be her preferred method. So, Craucus, I would recommend the longest weapon you can wield to keep distance between you and those horns.
Well, if you recall, there's no weapons allowed. This is hand to hand.
Oh, right. Okay, well, that's
And
worse.
natural abilities. Hand to hand and natural abilities.
All right, then. I'm not sure how to advise you. I would just say stay away from those as best you can.
She does approach. A second. She does approach Craucus, and you look down, obviously, into her face. But the horn is so long that it rises well above you, at least like half a foot or more, when she rises up. And as she comes towards you, she looks at you. She looks up into your eyes, and then looks at your body. She's inspecting you very methodically, but says nothing. But there is a deep guttural, almost trill, like a purr almost, that's coming from her as she inspects you and looks at you. And she's accompanied by 2 attendants.
Okay. Yeah, the pre-battle size up. I'm gonna stand there. I'm gonna look her down, and I'm just going to be nonplussed. I'm going to. This is another day for me. I don't need to look at you to know what I'm getting into. And
Okay,
so I don't know if you want me to roll a performance.
Well, hold on, because let me. Where my dice at? Where'd you go? Okay. Roll an insight check for her. Okay. Well, I mean, of course, it's hard to tell like what she's thinking because she's a gigantic beetle. So you don't really understand, her idiosyncrasies as a species. But she looks, she stares, like she kind of turns towards you, looks in your eyes, and then like lets out a big puff of air towards you. And you can smell the acrid sting of acid on the air as it comes out to you. Feel the fuzz on your skin singe as this plume of acrid smoke comes out of her mandibles. This is an act of intimidation, so I'm going to roll an intimidation check. You are going to roll me a wisdom save in response.
A wisdom save, not a counter intimidation?
Well, okay, let's think about this. Because isn't intimidation a wisdom check?
I think isn't it charisma? I think it's charisma.
Check. That's right. Sorry. Okay. Yeah, let's do opposing intimidation checks.
Okay.
What would your response to this be? So we get a sense of like how the two of you are puffing up towards each other.
Oh, no, Craucus doesn't. This is the one time where, like, so Craucus doesn't take well to displays of direct intimidation. If you're coming for a fight, he's going to fight you. This isn't a question. This isn't a like, oh, no, if you're coming to step, he has lived for many years, twice as long as she's been alive. He hasn't died yet. He's going
How old is Craucus?
He's in his 40s.
Oh, okay. I didn't realize he was that.
Half giants live very, very long lives. Yeah. I was a slave for 30 years. And oh no, I have that deep, deep rage. I don't give a shit that you haven't experienced life. If you're going to step to me, you're going to step as a fighter, I'm going to fight you. This isn't a question. This is just a matter of like what time we're done.
Okay. So what does that mean in terms of game mechanics?
Oh, no, she chose to step to me and try to intimidate. I'm not backing down. I'm going to square up. I'm going to start I'm going to start breathing harder. You're going to see my skin start to flush. I'm about to fall into my rage.
Okay.
These are all of the physiological changes you see in me before I enter my rage. Like, my gaze becomes fixed, my heart, my breaths become shallow and fast. I'm about to start something. And
okay, so
there's no collateral at this point.
Give me the intimidation check.
Okay. All right. 9.
9. Well, I think the two of you sort of get lost inside your own head.
Yeah.
You end up kind of backing her down, but it takes a little bit. And there's a moment where the both of you almost come to blows.
Yeah.
In this moment, and she she steps back, raises up, and tosses her head back, and it gouges another deep trench in the ceiling above. And you get forward, and then a bunch of the household servants rush forward, like the Stygians, the two attendants. Minvian of Sturces, who is technically her enslaver, rushes forward and breaks it up. Nerissa comes forward and is like, "We have not yet. This is not the time yet. We still must. Please. The fight. You will have your chance, but not yet. Hold this great, this wonderful intensity. Keep it close, and sit on it, and then let it come out during the fight.
I don't know how much I'm actually hearing her. My wisdom, I am not the wisest man.
Yeah.
She stepped to me. Crocus might just start now.
Well,
I'm going to put my hand on Crocus's arm. Not really because I think I could stop him, but I just want to look responsible if anything happens.
Oh, okay.
This
is performative from Desi. Yeah. This isn't you trying to help Crocus. This is like, oh no, stop, please don't.
It's like I'm trying to look like I know what I'm doing. Yeah.
Oh man. So I mean, does that sort of tame the beast at all?
No, she's not trying.
Yeah. Okay. So
if she were trying, maybe,
else?
but this is performative.
I'll try a little bit. If you keep huffing, I will. They're there. They're there.
No. Yeah, because I mean, Nerissa's entreaties don't really seem to be doing much for either of you.
Oh no! She did her bug display. I'm about to rage and just go full beast on this.
Yeah, and you're in a very cramped space right now.
What does that matter to me?
I
have one objective, and it is
that would probably make me a bit more sincere in my attempt to calm him down when I realize my own bodily vulnerability in this moment.
Yeah. I think Ma'ak would move to be able to pull Desi out of harm's way should the worst happen, and then maybe ego whip one or the other one into standing down should it actually come to blows. But I haven't acted yet.
Okay, so Minvian comes forward, and so Minvian of Circes, and for those watching or who maybe weren't here for that episode, Minvian is the captain of the gate of Tyr. And our party did encounter him when they first came through, and he's a very unlikable individual, somewhat effete. Reminds you would kind of remind you of the kind of stereotypical Roman like any depiction you've ever seen from a film of a high Roman. Curly locks, tightly curled to his head, somewhat plump from overindulgence, from his decadent lifestyle, very soft features. And he steps forward to Haxa and says, Haxa, if you want to go on your final hunt and have your freedom, you will back down and wait until it is time for the fight. Now is not it. And if you do any damage to the noble house of Nerissa, you shall not fight in the tournament 3 weeks hence. Do you understand me? And she looks down and huffs again, and you smell that acrid burning stench in your nostrils of that acid fume. And you see her deflate somewhat. She backs down and steps back, but then doesn't move. Mindy says, my dear sir, Crocus, is it? Would you mind stepping to the side to allow Haxa to pass so that you may have your fight when the time is right?
He's asking me to move aside for the bug.
Yeah, because like right now, there's no way for either of you, for her to pass by you. She needs, yeah. If you look at that map, yeah.
Geza steps forward and he says, it looks like there's clear passage on the other side of the table.
But you mean on the other side of the fountain?
What?
The wrestlers and the wrestlers have stopped at this point. They're just standing there, like looking at this scene.
I think it's best for everyone if she takes the long way around.
I smirk and I turn my back on her.
Also, could anyone else, were we smelling the acrid acid thing too, or was that just for his benefit?
I mean, the cloud of that, I mean, you might have smelt a little bit of that acrid tinge.
Oh, it was
your
visible?
nostrils.
Like a visible cloud?
No, it's not visible. It's just
it has
the
an odor.
fumes from her acid. And so like there's just that, it's like an ammonia smell.
I assume
It's like a smell of urine in the air.
If I smelled it, I want to recreate the scent of Crocus's diarrhea sprays that we've been encountering recently, using thaumaturgy to blow into her face.
Perfectly timed with me smirking and turning around.
It's right. Yeah, the moment you turn around, I give one of those diarrhea sprays into her face with thaumaturgy.
Well, if she is in fact of any beetle-like stripe, when that smell wafts over her, there's a noticeable relaxation, and you start to sniff. Like, where is it? Where's that pile of sweet dung?
Where's that yummy?
Well, it just manifested right in front of her face. There is no source, so.
I guess it does actually work to relax her in that moment somewhat.
Great. That's good to know.
You didn't know you were flirting.
Not my intention, but I'll take it.
Yeah. We'll see how that plays out. She may have actually thought that Crocus was putting that scent off, which may have been a mating, some kind of mating initiation.
Great.
So now it might be one of those situations of the like pulling each other's hair and pushing each other down in the schoolyard.
Right.
I'm gonna have sex with a bug tonight, guys.
Oh, and I always get the spells mixed up. That was prestidigitation, not thaumaturgy. My bad.
Okay. All right. With that, oh man. Whew, let's see if she backs down and takes the long route. Yeah, she does. That's enough to kind of get her to take the long way back around. But when she does, she comes in front of
No. I am not in her way. I will step aside and give her wide berth. I am not interested in initiating anything else. I want her to be gone.
What's a common
room.
Thrycreen greeting in Thrycreen?
Well, I mean, it depends if we're trying to be, depends on what she's trying to do. But if she's just saying hello, she might give her name and her pack, or we might wish one another good hunt luck. Though I wouldn't be doing that today because that would mean she'd kill my friend. But that's a common, like good luck, hunt luck, whatever, that kind of thing.
Well, when she passes, she does look to you and kind of gruffly, tersely says Hoxa. And in Thrycreen basically says packless. And then wishes you good hunt luck.
Ma'ak Ka'ari. Tek Chakak of the Kanako Tek. I wish you to see your last hunt successfully.
She, but you're the only one because nobody else can really read the intentions of the expressions of the Thrycreen. But when you say that, you can see that there's a deep yearning in response to that.
Mm-hmm. Yeah,
there's a lot of trauma.
Hearts go out to her for that.
Yeah,
for sure.
There's a lot of sadness, a lot of trauma behind that.
Yeah, well,
and
we have no reason to
quite
like
a bit
men
of
being
desperation.
either. I'm sorry. I said we have no reason to like Menvian either, or have any reason to think that he treats her nicely. Mm-hmm. So yeah, I mean, if we could free her, we would. That's kind of what we do. Mm-hmm. But for now, it's more important that our clutch prevail, and that means Crocus winning. So this is a complicated situation.
Yeah. She passes through, goes through. At this point, they've opened this screen that leads back into the back area, and she heads on through back into the back. Now, while that, just a reminder of the guests currently present that you were told about last time, or actually even met. There is just a second. Okay, so. Of course, there was Augie Sebastocles, who you had already engaged in conversation. You got a sense from him that he really doesn't want to be here after the events of today. For anyone watching, just a quick recap. Earlier today was the terrorist attack in Shadow Square, where hundreds of people were killed in order to get the Obsidian Orb that the Clutch was in possession of. But obviously August does not. Obviously, his mind is elsewhere. There was Desi was already able to complete her little side quest, which was to deliver that special clay ceramic coin, that 12-pieced ceramic coin to the manservant. Enslaved dwarf to Augie's Caro when Neva came striding in, showing off her bad self. You were able to kind of back up, and in that moment where everyone was distracted, drop that coin into Caro's pocket without even Caro knowing. But that was all you had to do. Make sure that it gets into his possession. You didn't even need to know it. Ostensibly,
and I had to clumsily say the keyword.
Oh, right. The keyword. I can't remember.
Which I spewed out at the end there because I was afraid I wasn't going to remember it 2 weeks later.
Yeah. And I even listened to it, but I listened to the episode again. I don't remember what it was. But anyway, yeah.
Something about how the wine was doing.
Right? Oh, right. Yeah. How are the grapes this year or something like that?
Like how's the harvest this season?
Yeah. How's the harvest this season? Yeah. Which was like for Augie's, he was like, I could give a shit right now. Like so.
Oh, that was for Caro? That was like the secret message?
Yeah.
Geza and I were both forgot that. I was like, what is this shit? Like, why is she talking about the grapes?
Yeah. So you deposited that. You haven't, like, at this point, who knows? Caro still stands near Agis, his quote unquote master, and you were told. Okay, so some time has passed from when you deposited that coin and had your conversation with Agis. Who, if I recall, if you all recall, Agis is basically the spitting image of Keanu Reeves as he looks today. Sort of a 50-something,
Beautiful man.
salt and pepper man, beautiful man. And then throughout that, you kind of like in your mingling with the rest of the people, you learn that some of the other like headline guests are for tonight. There was supposed to be someone named Zalkor, Legate or Legate Zalkor, who is sort of a fairly high-ranking member of the Templar of Tyr. Was supposed to be here tonight. Evidently, because of the events today in Shadow Square, he had to
work.
Templar duties for some reason. And there was also somebody else who was supposed to be here tonight, Etheros of Hamos, or Etheros of House Hamos, was supposed to be here tonight. He's not here tonight. You don't really know much about him at this point. You also knew that someone by the name of Zabia of House Sham was supposed to be arriving this evening. He has yet to arrive. You haven't heard that he's canceled, which if he was going to cancel, he would definitely have sent an envoy by this point to inform Nerissa that she would not arrive. Otherwise, that would be like a big faux pas. So you're still expecting that individual. And this was a particular trigger for Geza, because House Sham was responsible for selling him into slavery to his former enslaver, and how Sham in general trafficked is known to traffic in exotic species. We could say just exotic species, and provided your former enslaver with most of the Aarakocra enslaved individuals. There was also another individual by the name of Marigal of House Nareen, a young woman you've learned belongs to a very minor trading house called House Nareen. But the thing that kind of made her stand out to Ma'ak is that she is evidently a student at the School of Thought, which is the School of the Will and the Way, the psionic school within Tyr. She is here, but you have yet to have a chance to talk to her. She is a somewhat diminutive human, dark hair, dark bronze skin, very kind of Persian in aspect. Probably because again, Tyr is kind of a metropolitan city. It's unlike Nibene or Golg or Balak in the sense that like those cities have sort of a very kind of like unique racial identity amongst the human inhabitants. So like Balak is very Greek. Nibene is very Persian, if we're going to describe it based on real world, so on and so forth. Tyr, however, is very cosmopolitan. And then who else? You saw Neva arrive, who is one of the matched pair, one of the headline gladiators. Her matched partner is a mole by the name of Rikus. Really, the only one amongst the clutch who knows who either of these individuals are would be Craucus. And I suspect you probably were a bit starstruck to see Neva, even though you've never seen her fight, you've heard the tales of her battles often, at her and Rikus. So you feel lucky not to be fighting her tonight. So, okay. So having said that, let's mingle.
Question about Jabia and House Sham. Would Jabia be based out of Nibene and traveled for this, or they're based out of Tyr?
So give me a history check, and I will give you advantage because of your familiarity with Sham.
Well, 14 with advantage.
With advantage. You have heard of Jabia, but all you have heard is that Jabia is the younger brother of the eldest sister of House Sham, and that he is kind of an outcast. And is not headquartered in Nibene or Tyr. Supposedly, he was kind of shipped off to some outpost, like on the fringe of the Ringing Mountains.
So, did I just learn when they were talking about all the people who were coming to this party? Did I just learn of Jabia's exotic animal trade, or was I familiar with that previously?
You were familiar with House Sham's exotic animal trade. So you know that House Sham is responsible, but you know that he's a member of House Sham. So,
oh, okay. I don't know if he knows about that in particular.
I mean, you would assume based on your knowledge of House Sham, because House Sham is one of the most decadent, corrupt merchant houses in all of Athos, and one of the most powerful. What you also know about House Sham is that the majority of the trade and the business is run and operated by their agents, and the actual family themselves are notorious for not giving a shit, and they just want to live their decadent life and have their decadent parties and just leave everything. And it's one of the reasons why House Sham is in decline, because the family themselves no longer seem to take much particular interest in the day-to-day operations of the house. They just want to enjoy the comfort of the life that they've created over the centuries.
Okay.
So you know that the patriarch of House Sham is an individual named Giovo, and he is very much last time I said that House Sham is very much the House Harkonnen of Athos from Dune. So the patriarch of House Harkonnen. Basically, just replace him with Giovo, and you've got you know who you're talking about. So yeah.
Okay.
Anyone else? So meanwhile, there are frivolities. The wrestlers go back to their wrestling. Mm-hmm. The acrobats begin to do their tumbling again. They have lots of little sticks with silk, and they're juggling balls, and they're doing, somersaults and backflips, and you have the pipers playing, and you have ghostly. You have amphora of wine floating past by ghostly unseen servants. You have and there's probably half a dozen or more other guests that are not particularly worth mentioning, either on your level or somewhere above your level, but taking servants into there's all the private chambers around the central room with curtains that they can draw, and you can hear carnal acts being had behind those curtains. Just about anything you want to do right now, you can do. I mean, this is there are individuals right now who obviously are into masochism. So you can hear like little yips of pain and ecstasy coming from behind curtains, probably from little cuts being made or pinches or whatever you can imagine you can do. Or of course there are the members of the higher, the guests who are staying around engaging in small talk. Once again, you can see Agi Sevastocles is, just very much does not have his head here. You also notice that, I guess, give me, I think, Ma'ak, give me an insight check for Marigal of House Noreen.
Insight, you said?
Yeah.
Okay. Not 1 for a 4.
Okay. Well,
I see nothing. I'm probably,
yeah, you see nothing.
What are these sleepers doing?
Yeah. It's all very foreign to you. What's happening around you right now, and it's very uncomfortable, actually.
I have a note about Marigold from the House of Marine. It said, "Ask her story about the time in the desert."
Oh,
Okay.
Okay.
I might tell Ma'ak that or something, and because I also have in parentheses psionicist.
Right. So, sorry, her name one last time is what?
Marigal of House Noreen.
I'm sure I wrote that down somewhere else, but okay. And see, I'm afraid of engaging her and making something more complicated go on when this fight is imminent. Is there a way that I will thank you for that piece of information? I plan to use it. Time in the desert, right? But can I basically follow after Haksa through that, or at least poke my head through that screen and get a view of the fighting arena? Like what's different about that room, or is it like, is that another pit of water, or what is that?
Yeah,
there?
it's another pool, but it's larger. It's more than twice the size of the original, or the one in the first room. If you see, you can see it's actually like 3 times the size.
Yeah. Okay. All right.
So-
Well, here. Quick question. When Haksa exhaled at Craucus, where did the air come from? Is it from her head or from her armpits?
Well, okay, so answer me this. When you spit, I mean, Ma can't spit venom yet, but
Not yet.
You know others that can. When they spit their venom, where does it come from?
Venom's in the mandibles, for sure.
Okay, yeah, it came from the mandibles.
Okay, all right.
I didn't double check that, but yeah.
No, that's fine. I was just I'm trying to figure out where her breathing holes are, because if she has to fight in water, submerging her is a quick way to finish her.
Well, I mean, it's
We Kreen, we fear water.
yeah.
Or at least
these
those of my tribe do.
these pools are only about a foot and a half deep.
Oh, all right. That wouldn't be enough to submerge her,
Yeah.
then?
No, I mean, like, because granted, it's a it's an ostentatious display of waste, even
Sure.
to have a 25 by 25 foot pool that is a foot and a half inch deep,
Right.
or foot and a half deep. But yeah, it's not enough to really pose a threat to a Thrycreen. Now, maybe you, like, if somebody were actually to press you down,
Right. Like sit on me or whatever. Sure.
yeah, but
Yeah.
she is so fucking big.
Right.
I mean, her thorax and her abdomen are like the size of barrels. They're so big around, and her abdomen is much shorter than a Thrycreen of the Jotsal or what are the two?
The Toksa
The Tok.
are the
Yeah.
other guys. Yeah. They're similar. Like.
Yeah. So they are obviously a beetle type of Thrycreen, and their abdomen is much shorter. So her length is really not much longer than her height.
Oh, okay. So she's round.
Yeah. She's like about
Like a
8
stag
feet
beetle,
long.
right?
Well, I
can
mean,
see-
from like tip to tip, if you count the horns, she's about 12 feet long.
Oh, okay. Well, then
but the
here, is
horns
this
are
really-
the horns are extensions. They're like basically like antennae.
Right.
Yeah.
Is this room any taller than the other ones, or is it all the same uniform height? from
Well,
here?
so if you look, you can see there's a colonnade around the pool itself,
Mhm.
and that colonnade holds up a portico that goes around the pool, and so there is a hole in the roof that is basically equivalent in size to the pond below.
Oh, so we can see the sky then.
Yeah, and the same thing in the other room. It has a hole in the sky.
Okay. Well, she kept dragging her horns on the ceiling. I was hoping we could get her hung up somewhere.
Yeah, theoretically, if you could push her out of the pool. So, like, just keep in mind that the boundary of the pool itself almost exactly corresponds with the edge of the roof above.
All right. Well, how wide's the lip of the ceiling then? Could he get her horns up over it and get her hung up?
Theoretically, the ceiling here is it's higher than it is in the room that you came from.
Uh-huh.
So, but the ceiling is probably roughly about 12 feet. So if she was like fully extended, she could.
Crocus is like what, 15?
No, I'm
11
and a half feet tall.
11 and a half, but your reach though with your arms.
Right? My arm length is probably about 12 feet from fingertip to fingertip.
Yeah. So,
if I were to reach up, yeah.
Yeah, I'm just saying, kind of get her hung up and then her belly's exposed.
Yeah, you would add another 3 feet to your height, basically, probably.
I mean, your arms are half as wide as, like, one arm is half as wide as your height. So if you're 6 feet tall, you have 3 foot reach. So if he's 11 feet tall, he's got a 5.5 foot reach, right? So
it's not. If we're being realistic, it's not quite that because you're not considering torso. So half giant arms are a titch bit longer than like human torsos, right? So half giant arms are a little bit longer than human. So we're probably looking at like maybe 4.5 feet length.
Anyway, I'm just looking for advantages for you. So
I'm gonna go ape shit, and I'm gonna use everything in my environment that I see in the moment. Because in battle, there's not going to be a plan. It's just going to be go.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, that's why I'm trying to plan for you, buddy.
Yeah.
Well, when I'm in it, all plans fly out the window. It's just look, react, and go.
Okay, so as you're
to help you, man.
Yeah. I understand. You're perfect, and you've never made a mistake.
As you are looking through the screen, you do hear a voice from behind you announce. What's ostensibly is the final guest. Jabia of House Sham. And then you see this. Hold on just a second. Let me describe Jabia. So Jabia is deceptively slender, seeming more frail than he probably actually is. He's actually no, he's not doing that because he's wearing a toga. None of this tells me anything. Okay, sorry, I was looking at the entry in the Dune Traders guide, and it doesn't actually tell me what he looks like. So Jabia is a younger man, probably in his mid 20s. About average height, probably about 5'8", 5'9". He wears his hair shaved along the temples, and then he has a sweep of hair that he holds back in a ponytail. He has a goatee. He's slender and elegant, but you can see there are already, for an individual in his 20s, there are already lines of care written in his face. He has somewhat slender features, and wearing the toga that everyone else is wearing for the evening, with a red sash. And he comes in. He has sort of furrowed brow. There's lots of care there. Deep set eyes, sort of dark and heavy. And as he comes in, he looks and starts scanning the crowd. A lot of suspicion in his gaze.
Suspicious of what?
Give me an insight check.
24.
24. You get a sense that this is an individual who must look for enemies everywhere he treads.
Does he pay any special attention to me?
He spots you and he stops and he catches your eye quickly. And then he kind of looks down and away, and tries not to meet your gaze again.
So I hadn't really said what I was doing during this period, but if Geese is lacking a conversation partner, he seems like a man of heart, and I would be trying to strike up some sort of commonality that we both care about the people who were lost. If that conversation wanes at any point, I would try to be nearby Jabia to overhear whatever he discusses.
Okay. Well, yeah, you can definitely get into a conversation about that. And Agis kind of takes to you. You're not exactly sure why to begin with. Maybe it's your uniqueness. Maybe it's this heart that you feel you share, or that he has. He's very careful not to ask you offensive questions about you and yourself, and your difference. He seems very conscious about that, about the idea that even though you might be unique and completely different and even theoretically considered exotic by others around you, he understands the alienation that can bring, and wants to engage you as an individual. And so he asks you, where you hail from. He asks you how you came to be in Tyr. He asks you what you think of the city. He asks you what you thought of Nibene. I mean, he's traveled throughout the Tyr region, you come to find out. I don't know how much you give to him, how much information about yourself you divulge.
Unless I have a good reason to do otherwise, I would speak openly about the cover story of what our Iban and we were traveling here on doing trade with our craft, and that I have a intention of using my letter of guild introduction to establish a foothold here as well, and that on the road we met up with House Durata, and that's it. I don't talk about the death of Iban or the Sorcerer King past or any of that stuff unless there's a really good reason to.
I gotta pause just a second. Rob, were you just drinking from a Lord of the Rings goblet?
Yeah, can we take a second and look at that?
Remember those?
I have the full set. Do you have the full set?
I don't. I only have two. I've lost the others, but yeah.
Okay.
I even have the glow in the dark thing somewhere.
Yeah, I have them too. Yeah, I have those around somewhere. I didn't realize you had those. Okay.
Yeah, I'm sure it got lost in the move, but it's in a box somewhere.
I want that shit
Awesome.
so goddamn badly.
Oh man. Okay. So back to your conversation with Agis. Your Rais, Iban. Is he in the city now?
No. Unfortunately, he fell ill on the journey, and I'm trying to fulfill the promises that he had made and do what he would have done. But this is my first time here, and I am somewhat rudderless.
I see. If you don't mind asking, what sort of trade was Iban and yourself involved in?
Antiquities,
Art.
sculptures,
Yeah.
art.
Give me an insight check.
22.
22. Agis decidedly loses interest when you mention that. And he goes, interesting. You should probably talk to Narissa then. She's very interested in antiquities, as you can see. And he points around the room. Excuse me, though. I think I'd like to refill my cup.
Interesting. What do I know of his business?
Well, what you've heard from around, he has an estate outside the city. It's a farrow plantation.
So agriculture?
Agriculture, yeah.
All right.
Like most of the, but like, I mean, it's probably different in Nibene, but I mean, like a lot of the nobles in Athos, like they have a stranglehold on agriculture. The thing that you get, like with that insight check, the thing that you get from him is that he seems to be decidedly disinterested in like all of this refinement. Like it's not at the top of his like his hierarchy of needs. It's just not like he probably does, like he could give a shit about the acrobats and the wrestlers and the pipers and all of this. He seems like a man of unique conscience, I guess you could say, even though he obviously has slaves, or is an enslaver himself. But yeah, once he finds out that you're like an antiquities dealer, he's just like, you get a sense he's like, oh, you're one of those. And probably he's like he probably, like, you just get a sense of like, he's not willing to be your angle for making entreaties into tier.
Okay. But I know that he's an enslaver. He has a slave.
Well, yeah, he's got his dwarf man, right? His dwarf manservant right next to him, who's enslaved to him.
Okay.
Yeah.
Well, fuck him then.
I mean, we're talking about we're very much talking about a Thomas Jefferson type individual here.
Mm-hmm.
So.
Okay.
Yeah.
Fair enough. Then I move on to Jabia.
Okay. So before we do that, anybody else want to? Let's just go around the room. Anybody else want to approach anyone?
No, I think it's probably a good time for a break if that's what you're looking for.
I mean, 6:30 would be. Let's go right to 6:30, and then we can take our break. Back to Ma'ak, maybe? Or actually, you know what? Let's see.
Does he have anyone?
Well, let's see if anybody approaches anyone. Okay, let's do this. Desi, give me a perception check.
Ah, son of a 8.
8. Oh man.
What's Desi's passive perception?
Oh yeah, what's Desi's passive perception? That's actually a better idea. Thank you.
It is 14.
14. Okay, so that actually is good enough. So you're staying there. You take another glass of wine from a
I am
floating...
drinking constantly. Indulgently, whether it's wine or water, I'm constantly imbibing. I don't give a shit how full I am.
Okay, so every time that floating carafe of wine comes by, it fills your glass up. We'll get to some con saves soon, not yet. But you start to overhear a conversation between some of the guests, none of the named guests, however. And they're kind of like talking about the individuals who didn't show up. They start talking about Legate Zalcor, and they're like, oh yes, well, he's Legate for all of the Warrens, so obviously he couldn't be here tonight. And the business in Shadow Square today was quite a nasty thing. And then it turns, it's like, oh yes, but what about that Etheros? Oh yes, that Etheros. Well, you know why Etheros didn't come, do you? They're like, no, why didn't Etheros come? Well, haven't you heard? There's been stories that Etheros has been seen in the Bard's Quarter buying from some disreputable vendors, some disreputable elves. The kind of elves who traffic in certain contraband. Oh, you mean the magical kind of contraband? Oh yes. It's become quite common knowledge. Etheros is not particularly careful. I would put good money on the fact that Etheros was involved in what happened today. How are you saying that Etheros is a defiler? You did not hear it from me. That is not what I said, but what I did say is I would put good money that Etheros was certainly involved in something that happened today, somewhere in the city that we've heard of. Oh, you. And that's kind of the way that conversation continues. They, one of the other people is like, oh, well, I have heard that his father in House Hamos, they have not been very pleased with him of late. Well, it's not my place to say. So on and so forth.
Okay.
Ma'ak. Since you haven't made the entreaty, Marigal ends up, like, after maybe an hour or so, you've seen Marigal talking to different people. Every once in a while, someone kind of looks in your direction. Obviously, everyone's gotten the lowdown on this crew that has shown up in the company of the gladiator who is to fight tonight. Marigal comes to you and says, good sir, you are a Tekchakak of the Thrycreen? Have I heard correctly?
Ma'ak will bow his head in a way that, lets her think that he's agreeing. Yes. Like nodding yes.
Psionicist, then.
I will gesture at the...
or she didn't say Psionicist. She would have said a follower of the will and the way, is what she would have said, actually.
I will engage in mind link. So we'll just be using common, but I will say, indeed.
Oh, I am unable to mind link, though my teachers can. It is how we learn.
I can go deeper as well.
I'm a member of the school of thought. Just starting off.
How lucky for you.
I suppose. I'm still very young, very new. My mind was only opened recently, just a few months ago.
Your wild talent, then, was what?
Just a second.
It's often how we find our path. It shapes each of us individually.
Here, give me just a second. I should have had this memorized, but I forgot. Okay. Well, my wild talent, I actually didn't know I had a wild talent until my ordeal in the desert some time ago. I'm not sure you heard the gossip that goes around these symposia. I assume you probably already heard.
Pretend that I haven't. Tell me your version. If you would like, we can engage in, you call it meta concert. You can even share your memories of the experience. You may find it more freeing.
Yes. Yes. That would be nice.
All right, then I will end meta concert with the rest of my clutch and just do one-on-one with her for now.
Okay.
I don't want to get them tangled in
Okay.
whatever I've already been told she's a psionicist, or at least some sort of, mind bender, or well, maybe not mind bender, but at least a psionicist of some degree. So I need to be careful here.
Okay. Let's see. Before we do that, because we're gonna break here in just a few minutes.
Sure.
So, real quick, anything else anybody else wants to do? Okay, so let's just go around for Geza. What is Geza's next? What is Geza going to do next?
I am going to be milling about inconspicuously near Jabia.
Okay.
Listening in to whatever he may say and seeing if I catch him glancing at me anymore or stuff like that.
Okay. And Craucus, what's Craucus going to do?
Stealing myself. I'm only drinking little bits of water.
Okay. Do you want to kind of stay amongst the crowd, mingling over here amongst this kind of suite, or people are starting to head back into the major area where Hoxa went? Where would you like to position yourself?
I'll stay here for now.
Okay.
Mm-hmm.
All right.
Stay out of her range until you have to.
Okay. You can see that Narissa has started to engage Cha'ar in conversation about Kled. She seems very intrigued about what's going on there, which actually gets Jabia involved because the conversation turns towards their need for Agafari timber. And Jabia, I guess, has some thoughts about that, based on his where he's been stationed at his outpost in the Ringing Mountains. And then Desi, after kind of overhearing this conversation about fuck, my mind just went
Etheros.
Yeah, Etheros. What do you want to kind of keep to that, or do you want to engage in it, or do you want to? What else do you? What do you want to do at this point?
I have one question. When Geza was talking to Agis, did it become clear whether or not he'd lost anybody in the square? That was my question.
No, it's not clear at all.
Oh.
Yeah. So it's hard to tell why he's so affected. Because none of the other nobles here tonight seem to give a shit. I mean, they talk about it, but they talk about it as if it was just like, 5 o'clock news.
Right. Okay. So I'm curious about that. And then real quick, what is their house? Like, what does their house do?
Oh, they're like a minor trading house. But you don't really, you've never heard of them before, so you're not even sure if they're still functional or not.
I might let it go for now. If we had more time, I would absolutely weave some chaos, but I think right now I'm going to let it go.
All right, we'll think about that. It's 6:30, so let's take our 10-minute, and we shall be right back. And would somebody like to reach out to Mark in the meantime and see if he's going to join us this evening, if we'll be blessed by his presence? But otherwise, we will be right back in 10.
Okay.
but we're at a dinner party right now, so
All right, we're munching in live.
Yeah.
Is the Wanderer there? Is he at this party?
Yeah, I'm the Wanderer. I'm just kind of like hanging back in like one of the corners, just eating my chicken sandwich,
Stuffing your nerves in your pocket.
my fried erdlu sandwich, and waffle bagras, my waffle farro fries. Okay, so we're back. Okay, so where we're picking up, I think, is like okay, where do you guys want to pick back up? I'll let you jump in wherever you guys want to jump in. Whoever wants to pursue their particular little purpose, call out.
Desi.
I'm a bit confused. Where does that leave? Were we going to retcon the conversation, or should I just start where he left Geza?
No, we're not. We don't have to retcon anything. I mean, everybody's mingling, everybody's talking. At present, okay, so like I'll get this going. It was obvious that Geza wanted to talk to Agis about whether or not he had any connection to maybe anyone who may have been affected by the events of today in Shadow Square. Agis obviously got kind of turned off for some reason when he found out or learned that Geza is an antiquities dealer for reasons that are, at present uncertain. And so he ended up leaving and, kind of excusing himself politely, saying, I'm going to go refill my wine. It's been a pleasure talking to you. But not long after that, he does get into a conversation. Right now, Marigal of Nareen is talking to Ma'ak. But Neva actually makes an appearance at this point. And she takes her helmet off, that really imposing obsidian helmet with two like dark spot like horns that come off. She has kind of loosened up. She's had a few cups of wine at this point. She's decided that she's going to remove her helmet and relax a little bit, enjoy this time outside of the slave pens of the gladiatorial arena. And of course, she has her own dedicated servant fanning her with palm fronds. Agis has his. Minvian has his. All of the upper echelon of this party have their own dedicated punka and fanning them. Which, by the way, is that's just a surrogate word that I'm using. It's probably not the actual word that you would hear for that particular occupation here. That's a actual word for like the colonial era and earlier in India. That was the title given to the job of being a person who just fans someone, which I'm just using. I'm just stealing that. So keep that in mind. Probably a different word is being used to describe that particular occupation right now, but they have them. So Agis has taken his opportunity to engage Neva in conversation. And right now they're deeply, they're talking about the events in Shadow Square. And you can hear that both of them are deeply concerned about the less fortunate of the city. So you get a sense right away that even though, Agis is one of these types, he's one of these classic types. He himself is an enslaver, but at the same time seems to be very concerned himself about the lower classes and the enslaved classes. Thomas, like I said, I think I said this after we went off, or maybe before. He's one of them Thomas Jefferson types. Monuments all over the place for him, but he still himself was a fucking slave master. You can feel free to interject into the conversation they're having, because it's not just Neva and Agis. There are a couple other attendees also engaging in the conversation as well.
All right. Correct me if I'm way off, but I might go up and say, you know, I could not help but overhear. Do you know what I would recommend? Have you spoken to my friend Geza? There are very few people that I have ever met that care so much for improving the situation of those unfortunates. I myself was at one point on the streets and worse, I was stranded, and it was this person who came along and rose me up to my present station. He has many thoughts and ideas for the improvement of the lower classes and has done much in their education and edification. Oh, and he sculpts. Have you spoken to him? He's a fellow with feathers.
Agi's response is like, yes, I spoke with your friend, an interesting fellow, I'll have to say, certainly unique. Fortunately, I can't say that I've known too many antiquity dealers who seem to concern themselves with the less fortunate.
Well, look at where we are. My goodness. We all have to make a living somehow, but that does not change the compass cardinal point of our hearts, does it?
I suppose not. Fine. I will be the first to admit that I can be a bit judgmental when I meet individuals, a bit knee-jerk. Call your friend over. Let's have a conversation again.
I will wave at Geza like this.
Yes.
When you walk over, Agi says, Geza, I apologize. Today was a traumatic day, and unfortunately, I'm filling my station.
No offense. I'm gathered that I offended you, and I'm not one to impose.
It's not that you offended me, Geza. It's that a terrible thing happened today, and here I am. Here. And he just kind of waves his arm about him in this decadence. I've known many antiquities dealers. My house is filled with them. My estate, my family. Antiquity dealers tend to be opportunists, tomb raiders. They tend to use people in order to gain antiquities so that they can sell them for exorbitant costs. I hope this is not you.
It couldn't be farther from. I think maybe I was cut a little short. I was going to say antiquities is, a major basis of our trade, but really what my Rais taught me, the skill of, trading and selling is one thing, but I'm also very good with my hands. It's the artisanal aspect of creating these sculptures that was at the heart of our business. Originals, replicas at a fair price. And yes, there is a purpose beyond that too. He was not just my Rais and Craucus's Rais, but he's a pillar of the community, and outreach to the less fortunate is something that we could only do because of our trade in antiquities and the arts that we were creating. He was a very caring man about all of the people of the city, and if only more people in Athos shared his unusual brain.
Well, how did he support those less fortunate?
Providing them with jobs and opportunities that others would not.
He rolls his eyes at this.
How do you support the less fortunate, Agis?
Well, I, for one, set aside a portion of my harvest every year that I donate to the cities. I donate to those in need. I've been working through, I don't know if you've heard of them, the Verdant Revival.
Yes, we were in Shadow Square meeting with the Verdant Revival today. We were there.
You were
In
there?
fact, yes.
Wait, you were there? You were there?
We were there.
Micah and what was her name?
Arup.
Are alive because of Craucus. And saved the other one. Ma'ak? Was it Ma'ak that saved the other one?
Well, we all contributed to those that live from within the Verdant Revival because I'm an exarch and I have the ability to spare the dying. And I did as much as I could. Many died. But they're doing good work as far as I can tell, and I was meeting with them to possibly join their ranks. And
Geza, can you reveal that you teach people how to write?
no.
Okay, just wanted to check so I didn't slip up.
Even if this man is like, I don't know if Metaconcert's up, I'm going to try to say, even if this man is good, he might not be in favor of education on that level.
Okay, okay. Wanted to check. Safety first.
Right. So, yes, I'm only just become acquainted with the Verdant Revival, and we were meeting with Micah, and we were being introduced by a group of House Kinnock, because I think that I can help them, and we can spread this good word.
Excuse me. I do not know Roop. I do know Micah, however. I've been supporting Micah directly. Have they... I have not heard from them.
They're resting.
Trying.
They're resting right now in our inn. We got them situated, healed, and fed, and came to this party, which we had a prior engagement to. So, like yourself, we would rather be elsewhere, but we could not put this off.
Then I must apologize, my friend. I have misjudged you from the beginning.
We all do things that we may not otherwise because of the circumstance we find ourselves in this world. And I'm not offended, and you have made no grave error. I'm glad we can see each other for the truth of the situation.
What happened today?
Defilers attacked the least fortunate. I don't have a full understanding of what exactly is going on in the city or with the defilers, but I can tell you I know the face of one of the attackers. We saw one of them. Perhaps you know him, and I hold up a temporary image in my hand.
No, I've never laid eyes upon him.
That's the best we know, is that whoever knows this man, that man knows more. And this man is responsible for a lot of harm.
Have you heard the rumors about Esros?
Oh, the one of the other ones who wasn't going to be here tonight. Let me make sure I get my details correct on Etheros.
That's hard to say in French.
Etheros.
Esros.
Esau.
You might have to translate for me.
Yeah. I've never met Etheros, but I've heard some of the hullabaloo here tonight. They think he's a defiler, maybe was involved in the events of today.
Why would people say that if it weren't true?
Well, I can imagine.
Why indeed?
No, gossip is gossip. You have to, if you're not familiar with these events, the symposia, take everything that you hear with a grain of salt.
Well, that is why I'm asking you, because it is very important to us to find these defilers, and I would be very interested in your opinion of this person and whether he is a lead worth following up.
Well, I think every lead is worth following up, and I have to say that there are some troubling things happening throughout the city. I don't know if you're aware, but I'm a senator here in Tyr. There's been disturbing news coming out of the Golden City. The Golden City, you've been, even just in a couple days, you would have heard enough to figure out that the Golden City is the walled off area of the city on the other side, where the Sorcerer King Kalek lives. It's where the Golden Tower is. It's where like all of the Templar live. It's where the High Bureaus are. It's where the School of Thought is. But yeah, he says there's been just disturbing news coming out. You can see Neva at this point. Neva has been standing there kind of silently listening to all of you.
Shocked that no one's paying attention to her.
I'm
Yeah,
doing
right.
insight insight body language on that.
Neva is eagle-eyed, I guess. Like she is like inscrutable.
26 on that.
26. Oh man. Neva is obviously just hanging back, listening and observing at this point, taking information in, but trying not to give up any notion of like what her internal monologue might be, which is completely inscrutable. Like, I mean, she's incredibly like stony faced.
But she was talking before in agreement with Hagis that they needed to take care of the underprivileged, right?
Yeah, I mean, both of them are talking, and part of the conversation when you came in was like, what does the result of this fight coming up, like between you and Rikus, what is the result of that? What is, do you think that you might gain your freedom out of this? And if so, how can we work together once that happens? And what can Agis do to support that effort?
Oh, okay. Okay. So they weren't talking about Shadow Square.
I mean, like Shadow Square was the beginning of the conversation, which turned towards her. Because as long as she's enslaved at the arena, she has limited capability of doing anything, of affecting any kind of change.
She's included in the disenfranchised.
Oh yeah, for sure. I mean, she's an enslaved gladiator.
Right. Okay. Can we get any details on the upsetting news from the Golden City?
Well, it has pretty much gone unnoticed at this point, but Kalek, and he looks over his shoulder to make sure that Minvian isn't anywhere near, Minvian being a Templar. Kalek murdered the High Templar of the King's Works, the one who oversees the construction of the ziggurat, and has installed Tithian who just so happens to be my best friend, or at least was.
And
My
Neva's
best
enslaver.
friend. What's that?
And Neva's enslaver,
Yeah.
right?
Yeah, well, and and just so happens to be the individual. And then Neva interjects. That cunt, Tithian, is the one who professes ownership over me.
I have heard of this Titian. He has come up before. I have made notes.
Yes.
And the Chief Glazer is missing.
The Chief Glazer was just
Recaptured.
arrested or
Yeah,
captured.
I heard that as well, that he had been recaptured outside the city and has been brought back in. Poor soul. Chance doesn't, unfortunately, stand a chance at this point.
It does seem very unlikely that Chance will see freedom again.
But how do you know the Chief Glazier?
We also encountered him on the road.
You did.
He
did?
was
And
huge
Neva
pain
interjects,
in the
and
ass.
Neva says, "Wait, you know Chance?"
only very briefly, unfortunately. He's a thief.
Well, yes, he is that. But
We shared a campsite with him, and he took advantage of our kindness.
And then we saved him, and then we regretted it.
Yes. He went on his merry way days ago and apparently didn't make it far.
well, Neva says, "Well, Chance always was a bastard, but I mean, he's a good bastard."
It seems like he wants to be good, but he doesn't know how, and
Oh.
he really can't be trusted.
Neva says, "Like so many of us."
We have a bad habit of trusting.
Right. The wrong people.
Always the wrong people.
Neva says, "Couch all of your trust within apprehension."
Cheers to that. I clink.
We must all find a way to survive. Unfortunately, we leave behind a lot of broken dreams and a lot of broken hearts in the path.
Neva is fighting at the mega celebration, right?
Mm-hmm.
Where there's going to be a whole lot of incredibly powerful people congregated.
Oh, yeah.
Including your people.
My people?
Your brother.
Oh, my brother. Right.
Your
Right. I have people.
Brother people.
No, right. Yeah, no, my brother.
Oh yeah, that guy.
And then what? How many days is that away?
3 weeks.
2 weeks?
It's like a little less than 3 weeks at this point.
Oh.
And who is she fighting?
Neva?
Mm-hmm.
You ask her?
Sure.
It's not who I'm fighting, it's what.
Oh no, I have an immediate suspicion. Tell me, what? How are you fighting?
My matched partner and I, Rikas, we just met it today. It is a creature known as a gage.
Oh, I thought you were going to say dragon. I'm actually relieved. What is a gash?
Shh. Ooh. Please, do not speak its name. If it is, in fact, its name. No. We fight a creature known as a gage. It is a large insectoid-like creature with powerful psionic abilities. Rikus, well, I can't actually tell you what Rikus did today, but I am lucky that they allowed me to leave after what Rikus did to the Gaj today, and hopefully Hopefully the gauge will not recover in time for it to be fully strong again, so that we can put it into the sand and grind its carapace and its guts away and avenge the deaths that it has already inflicted upon the slave pits in the arena.
How did you find access to the gauge? Certainly they did not grant it to you.
Of course they did. It shares our pit with us. But the slave master, the pit master, he certainly won't be telling any tales about what Rikus did today again.
Because you paid him?
Son of a bitch. No. Rikus broke him and fed him to the gauge before he knew what hit him.
I'm beginning to understand how gladiators talk.
Yes, this is very Kraukian.
This celebration
Speaking
match.
of your friend, I've not heard of Craucus. Tell me of him. He is a fine specimen of the half-giant. I might like to have him.
You might like that too.
I guess it just laughs. That's all.
Rikus is my matched pair, and so we are lovers, but that does not mean that we cannot take others.
Is Kraukus nearby?
Yeah, I mean, are you nearby, Craucus? What are you doing?
I'm steeling myself for the fight. I'm drinking minimal water. All I'm thinking about is just the violence that's about to happen.
Yeah,
Am I within your eye line?
probably. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'll be like winging near Kraukus.
Okay.
Come meet Neva. You
Yeah.
don't know Neva, do you?
Do I know Neva?
Oh, you know of Neva.
I saw that you were excited at her entry, but that's it.
Oh, yeah, that I knew of her.
Right.
Yeah.
Do you come over?
Yeah.
She says, "You are Craucus?
Yes, I'm Graucus.
Tell me of your conquests."
Oh, for you to be asking me is a great honor. I have fought many. Like many half-giants before me, I started as just a spectacle, but I have a unique talent at fighting and performing. I found a love and a talent for spectacled combat. I have defeated the hordes before. I have felled great beasts. I actually won my freedom with Geza in attendance when I faced off against many armed opponents, and with me nothing but my bare hands.
It was quite impressive.
Nothing like what I've heard of you.
You are confident. That is good. You are strong, and I like that. Let's see how you do tonight.
I do
I
not
might take you into my bed if you do well.
Can I take Geza's wing and just slowly back away?
Rikus will not mind. We take what we want.
If Rikus wishes to watch, it is not it is not something I have not performed in before.
No, Rikus is a jealous companion. So long as he does not watch.
So he will play the unknown cuckold.
Oh, do not ever use that word. Rikus is a cuckold. We share each other completely, within and without. We are equals on the field, in the bedroom, in the slave pens and without.
I give a reverential nod because I respect that.
Yes.
Yeah.
It is just another conquest. You can conquest in the arena, and you can conquest in the bedroom.
Oh,
It is all gladiatorial combat, Craucus. It is all combat.
yeah. No. Craucus is speaking that language. Oh, I would love to see how you compete in the bedroom.
I hope she does not throw off his game.
Oh no. Oh, Desi, I win every time. I always finish.
But she does say, I will say, Craucus, do not underestimate your opponent tonight. Hoxa may not be favored amongst the crowd, but Hoxa fights with purpose and determination. Hoxa has a goal. Hoxa fights for her final hunt. And you would be well advised to remember that that final hunt is ancestral to the Thrycreen, to the Jaez, to the Jotzal, to all.
I've seen people fight. Oh,
What's that?
I was going to do a little role play.
No. Go ahead.
I have seen people fight for many reasons. People fight for love. People fight for identity. If you step in that ring, it is no longer a matter of what you are fighting. It is how deep that fight is within you. If you wish to survive, if you wish to win, that is all that matters.
You have a heart of a gladiator. You understand. We all have purpose. Some fight for freedom, some fight for glory, some fight for some other purpose. What purpose you fight for tonight, you must find in yourself, but just understand, Hoxa fights for her identity. And that is just about as strong a purpose, as deep a purpose as can possibly be. She has been enslaved to Minvian, that cunt, for 2 decades. If I could, I would have her fight him and break him. But she fights you. She fights you for her freedom. You have your freedom. I fight for my freedom in 3 weeks as well, Rikus and I. If we defeat the Gaj, Tithian gives us our freedom. At long last. And finally, the two of us can be unioned once and for all outside the bounds of a matched pair and outside the gladiatorial arena. And we can then chart our own destiny. You have something I envy, Craucus. Something I wish for deeply in my heart. Do not underestimate that. Okay, back over to Ma'ak.
Really quick, before we go,
okay.
Can I take hold of Agis's arm and say to him, can I count you as an ally in this fight against defilers and rooting them out?
I despise the defilers. I have been seeking connection with the Veiled Alliance for a long time. I would do whatever I can to aid them in their effort to destroy the Defilers, and after today, doubly so. And I fear that what the Defilers did this day is some way connected to Kalix's desperate effort to finish the ziggurat so quickly in time for the games. I do not understand what it is that he has planned, but I know that it cannot be good for the people of Tyr or the people of Athos.
Please understand that we are united in this cause, and you may call on us on any time. May we do the same with you.
Absolutely. And if you are aligned with the Verdant Revival, then you're aligned with me. I'll help you in any way I can.
Likewise. And if you want to see Micah, drop by any time. We are right here. Do you come and you see. Enjoy the match.
Okay. Jumping back over to Ma'ak.
All right.
Marigal looks to the others and is like, wow, it seems like they're deep inside some conversation. I have to say, I've never really understood Agis. He seems such a decent man, and yet his estate is filled with enslaved individuals. Do you realize you know that his man, Caro, Caro has been enslaved to House Astocles for 150 years?
Is it then the Astocles family took advantage of the dwarven focus? Is it possible that
I assume that's the case? That's kind of the common knowledge around town. Caro's focus is to protect House Astocles.
I have found myself wondering about this. I also, in connection to the Thrycreen of Uruk, it seems that our ways, our need for Tok chat is taken advantage of, and we are promised something that turns out to not be true. It seems that perhaps the dwarves suffer similar fate. I cannot imagine a more fearsome gladiator than a dwarf who's made it his focus to win.
Yeah, I imagine. I feel pity for Kara, though, if he has in fact made it his focus to protect House Astocles or to serve House Astocles. What could possibly have led an individual? I don't care if you're a dwarf or not. What could have led you to put that shackle on yourself?
Guile. Sleeper guile. I have seen its work do much harm in my short life.
Agis is supposedly a good man. She looks back over her shoulder and makes sure that nobody's listening.
Well, we're in meta concert, so.
Oh, right. Well, she's still like.
Yeah, no, it's fine.
It's subconscious, yeah.
Still looks over her shoulder. I've heard Agis speak passionately about the good master and the need for good masters in this world.
Tell me.
I don't know if he's misguided or if he's a bad man. I feel like if he's hitched himself, if he's connected himself with the Verdant Revival, and I know the Verdant Revival, these are good people doing good work in this city. Maybe there's a chance that he can be changed. I don't know.
Do you support the Verdant Revival? What are your thoughts on it?
Oh, I think the Verdant Revival is something desperately needed in this world. an organization that cares without reservation, without an ulterior motive, it would seem.
Why are you trusting me with this information? Not that I think you have reason to fear me, but there are Templars at this very party who would not appreciate these thoughts that you and Agius seem to openly express. I am concerned for your safety. Do I have reason to be?
My parents certainly think so.
Do they?
They did not like that I went into the school of thought.
Why not?
They don't understand what happened to me in the desert. I had an awakening.
Tell me about your time in the desert. I have heard only sparse rumors. I know very little, and it matters not. I would hear it from your own mind. Or you could share it through Metaconcert if you wish. And I'll, just for an example, share an image of Ma'ak in the desert. I'm sure I have 1,000 memories. So.
Okay, so does she stay in Metaconcert, or does she say this openly? Because oftentimes, like, people who she's still a little scared about sharing this information openly, so she stays inside Metaconcert.
Okay, it's fine. You recognized me as Tekchakak. If you wish to make sorry, I'll even use the Thri-Kreen word for it, but if you wish to make Metaconcert with me, your thoughts are sacred. They are not for me to share with anyone, including your parents or Templars or anyone of the sort.
Well, first, I mean, it's an insight check, so that she made. So basically, she just tells you that I just felt something about you. I thought there was something trustworthy that I could say these things. Maybe not, but.
Well, I will strive to not betray that trust, ever.
She says,
your thoughts are safe with me.
So, my family are, small-time traders, and I've been guiding their caravans for some time, up until several months ago. We were heading back from Gulg, and I encountered someone in the desert who had been attacked. He was the last remaining survivor of an assault by a group of raiding elves.
Go on.
He was
Tell
the
me
only
more.
survivor, and I made sure that he was safe. And then I find out that he was a psionicist of some power. And after I nursed him back to health, I guess, he offered to open my mind. He said that he saw something inside me, a talent that I had not realized. He said that he could come inside and remove the barriers between myself, my waking self, and that part of me that exists beyond the veil.
Who was this psionicist? He sounds quite formidable.
His name was Hamza.
Does that ring a bell to me?
No.
Yeah, I didn't think so. Okay. From Tyr?
He did something he called psychic surgery.
Mm-hmm. My master told me about psychic surgery. That was well beyond my capabilities.
It opened up pathways I never knew existed. And they exist within all of us.
They do indeed. The way flows through us all in unique ways, just as Dej touches us all as we traverse through life.
What he revealed, I could have used the rest of my life to make my family rich and prosperous. It's something called compact. It's simply the ability to... I gained the ability to transport massive quantities of goods. I make it easier for my family.
Does Ma'ak know this? This is where you shrink stuff down, right?
Yeah.
Okay.
And she says, and I use this for I used this for a month or two, and just something kept eating at me, and realizing that like I had been offered something that very few people ever get. And I realized that if all I ever did was make things smaller so that my family can make more money, then I was squandering the sacrifice of this individual, of Hansa.
Have you put it to different use since
Well,
then?
I joined the school of thought when I came, and my family believes that I am doing this to make the house stronger. But what I'm doing it for is to make Athos better. I'm still young, I'm still learning, but the potential is there to make change, real change in this world.
What change would you see were it in your power to affect it?
I would see the end of slavery. I would change the mind of the enslavers. That's what I'm working towards. My teacher that I work with at the School of Thought, he's teaching me to manipulate minds, and I know that he himself probably has used this for his entire life to maybe manipulate people in a way that serves his own ends. But what I would have is a way to manipulate power brokers, the people who control, so that we can make a better world for those who can't control. It may not be ethical to manipulate minds that way, but Agis, I've heard Agis speak at the Synod, and he speaks very eloquently for the purpose of benevolent enslavers. But Agis doesn't. Agis is deluding himself. I know he means well, and he thinks, but he's coming from a place of privilege and a place of entrenched power, and he is deluding himself. He is making arguments to support an abhorrent system, thinking that what he is doing is to the benefit of those who do not have power. He says, oh, those in power must be the power for those who do not have. And that is why slavery is important. That is why it must be preserved, because only people like Agis can pull the huddled masses of this world out of poverty. and give them purpose and give them strength.
And yet he is a
place.
senator who makes the laws that
Yes.
slavery exists in the first place.
Yes.
These ways of you sleepers are a complete anathema to we Kreen. I am sure that you know there is no room for slavery in the pack. The pack is mutual. Everyone is supported. Everyone wishes to be a part of the pack. It is a great honor to be included. It is a great honor to be first in clutch and last in clutch. For all is a cycle. All is a great circle.
It's one of the reasons I wanted to talk to you, because I've studied the Kreen somewhat, and I'm fascinated by the structure of your society and the way that egalitarianism is held at the highest esteem. And I want to understand more about it.
I'll answer your questions to the best of my ability.
Okay. So before we continue,
we don't need to get into it, but
we don't need to get you the two of you have like continued this conversation and kind of get deep into like who the Kreen are and like how the Kreen function.
You've lost my arc.
Yeah. It becomes very dry talk, and,
Right.
and the two of you become kind of like glued to each other, as like nobody else like wants to really like no, obviously like you're a bore to everybody.
No, all anybody sees is just the two of us just kind of like standing next to each other, right?
Yeah, just staring.
this
Like, this is weird. Like, I mean, people know. I mean, like, this is a world where psionics are, pretty commonplace. So they kind of get an idea that, like, okay, they're obviously having like an inside conversation.
Desi can
right
probably tell, right? She probably picks up the subtle like twitches in his antennae, and Mark's really excited over there.
Yeah,
Doing
yeah.
the twitchy thing.
Are we getting? Is Mark somewhere?
Yeah,
Like,
Mark's here now.
Mark got here. Yeah.
okay.
So we're gonna have to take a little break while I reformat.
Yeah, let's take this
All
break.
right, cool.
we still have her screen, right? So,
We're yeah. We're live.
okay, so we are back, and we have Mark with us. Thanks for showing up, Mark. We left off Ma'ak and Desi. Well, like you guys were involved in conversation. There was talk about Agis, blah, so on and so forth. We're going to jump over to Cha'ar, who basically was approached by Narissa while the rest of you were kind of engaged in different conversations. And Narissa is the host for the evening. She runs Narissa's Colors and Scents, the perfumery and high-end haberdashery, which is the business that she runs out of her townhouse here. We're still probably an hour or two from the big fight between Craucus and Haxa. And the dinner itself is going to be served fairly soon. As I said before, there are servants throughout the house bringing around trays of delicacies, dates and figs. There are farro cakes soaked in honey with nuts and like every kind of manner of delicacy you can imagine as appetizers being served around. There are unseen servants, like literally unseen servants, because you see carafes of wine floating past, filling cups. Narissa approaches you, Cha'ar, and says, "So I hear your name is Cha'ar, is that correct? And you are from Kled?"
I'm sorry, my dog is like whining in pain. I really got to go, guys. I'm sorry.
Okay.
I'm really sorry, but he's like shaking and whining, so I gotta run.
Go take care of your dog.
Okay, buddy.
You do your you take care of things. Okay.
All right, give me,
We tried, man. We tried.
Yeah, we tried.
gonna take me a
No
minute.
problem. So they have their conversation off on the side, and back to you guys. So was there anything specific? I mean, I guess before we call it for this evening, was there any other specific conversations that you would like to have after everything that you've heard? Is there anything else that you would like to engage with Agis at this point?
No, I think Desi saved that.
This fight that's happening with Neva and the bug, is that going to happen? Where will that happen?
You mean Craucus and Haxa?
No.
No, the big
No.
fight.
Oh, that's going to be at the arena, which you guys have not actually seen yet or visited.
And is that
And
a
it's
part?
not.
Is that a part of the thing that?
It's the Festival of the High Sun in 3
Right.
weeks.
Yeah. If Craucus does well in this fight, he might place and get
Yeah.
to fight in that one.
Yeah.
But this is the arena is not a part of the pyramid that's being built, right?
It's adjacent.
Yeah, as
It's
far
not-
as you know, the arena is basically built into the side of the ziggurat on the opposing face from where you are in the city of Tyr. So, like I said, you have not seen the arena yet.
But it's not in the ziggurat.
It's not in the ziggurat, so like
Right.
it's on the south, like it's on the western side of the ziggurat. You guys are on the eastern side right now.
Okay. I just needed to know because I play a lot of Call of Cthulhu, and if things die in pyramids, it's a really bad sign.
Ha!
Oh man, yeah, okay. That's true. Let's see. I think the last thing that we might want to get into,
Was there anything with Jabia that you wanted?
well, that's what I'm thinking about right now. Jabia currently is in conversation with Cha'ar and Narissa. They're having a conversation. It comes out that Cha'ar is sort of in desperate need of a new supplier of Agafari timber. And Jabia starts to interject and talk about the idea of perhaps there's something that they can work out, but they would need some, like, he would need some help in order to achieve his goal.
Okay.
You just want to listen for a bit?
Is this parallel to the Agis discussion, or I'm just like overhearing this now?
I mean, like, it's like Agis is not involved in this particular conversation, so you are overhearing this.
Yeah, I'm not going to insert myself into that.
Okay.
But Char is looking for Agafari timber for the mines or whatever.
Well, yeah, if you recall, well, I don't know. Actually, you weren't there. So, what Cha'ar relates to the others is that, recently, and it's kind of gotten out a bit too. So, Narissa had heard of the catastrophe that recently happened at Cled, where there was a cave in, and Baroness, the the mayor, leader, whatever you want to call, of Cled, shut the mines down until they could find an adequate source of Agafari timber to support the excavations. Because right now, like, basically they had been working on limited resources because they just didn't have enough. And so they were overextending themselves and creating a dangerous situation within the mines because they weren't supporting the excavations properly. And so now the mines have been completely shut down. And until they can find a new supplier, a new consistent supplier of Agafari timber, they can't reopen the excavation into the ancient city of Kalamak.
Okay, so that's like among Char's primary goals in coming to the city was looking for Agafari source.
Yeah.
Okay, when Jabia says he would need help with something, I definitely scrutinize him. Insight check.
Okay. Give me that insight check. What are you looking for?
If he's got ulterior motives, I don't trust his house. I don't know if he's a chief operator or a dissenter.
Okay, you rolled a 13.
Yeah.
So it's hard to say exactly what his motive is, but you definitely get a sense.
I gotta say, generally, anytime I'm going to be doing that kind of thing, I'm going to be guiding myself. Like, there's just no reality where Geza wouldn't do that.
So, do you want to add that to it?
Yeah. Big 14.
Okay. Still, even though you can't really detect exactly what his motives are, you definitely get a sense that there are ulterior motives to his questioning. He says something kind of revealing, which is shit. I just had it and I lost it out of my head. Give me just a second. I think fucking Oh man, sorry. Like I just had it. Fuck. The point is, oh, oh, oh. He says, I might be able to help you, but we could not, under any circumstances, go through House Sham proper. Everything would need to be done through myself and my agents.
What is Char's response to this?
Well, Char is obviously gets like incredibly suspicious right away and says, if we can't do this openly and honestly, then we can't do it at all. And Jabia says, it's not about open and honesty. It's about the fact that you know who my sister is. Don't you?
Do any of us know who his sister is?
No, you know who. His sister is. Just guys, talk amongst yourself because this is.
Emnia?
I think it's Timnia, but I need to confirm that. Let me find my Dune Trader book. God damn it! It's like there it is. Okay.
And why would Temnia weigh in on this?
Hold on a second. Hoobadoo.
Geza is wishing that meta concert were still a thing so that he could consult with Desi about poisons.
Yeah.
Like, so
I'd be too drunk to help you anyway.
what kind of poisons do you have? Are they time delayed?
Oh, yeah.
Or
Yeah, it's
The bird shit one.
It's Timnia Sham. And give me a quick history check, Geza.
my special.
Actually, you know, like Crocus, you can give it to me also.
That's a 10.
Okay. A 4.
Wait. Let me guide myself. That's an 11.
Yeah.
Thank you very much.
Well, based on your based on your background, this would be an easy for you. Timnia Sham is very well known in Nibide. She's kind of a celebrity. She is the daughter of Giovo Sham, who is the patriarch of House Sham. She is the basically the de facto leader of House Sham because Giovo really like doesn't lead anything anymore. Giovo just like exists and enjoys his status. So you know, like the pieces kind of come together. Like Timnia Sham is the older sister of Jabia. You knew that Jabia had been evidently shipped off from House Sham and had been stationed out, you know, on the fringes of their territory and their influence ages ago. So obviously there's no love lost between the two of them, between the brother and sister.
And how does this relate to Agafari trade?
So in terms of Agafari trade, in terms of the fact that Jabia says my sister could never know, obviously he's trying to do some shit on the side. He's angling for something.
For his own piece of the pie or whatever.
Maybe it's his own piece of the pie. It's hard to say. I mean, obviously it's hard to say.
When he says, you know who my sister is, what is Char's response? I imagine it's not very understanding.
Actually, no, because I just rolled a natural 20 for Char. Char says, yeah, I've heard of your sister. She sounds like a terrible human being. And Char being the, you know, sort of truthful individual he is, probably put his foot in his mouth, but Jabia confirms and says, my sister is the worst kind of person.
Okay. I continue to not interject into that, but I'm very undecided about Jabia's eventual fate if he continues to be in my presence.
But Jabia says, but Jabia does say to Char, if you can get me a meeting somehow with Barnes privately, in secret, perhaps we can do something.
And once again, I'm rolling an insight check on that, or are we existing on my previous insight roll?
No, give me another insight on that. But I'll give you advantage at this point.
So it's it's this higher roll, but also with this, it's 25 total.
25. Okay. Yeah, you definitely get a sense that Jabia is actively working to undermine the rest of House Sham via this connection. Like he sees an opportunity with Kled and Char to undermine the hierarchy of the family.
Does he want a front company? Because we got a House Dorada that could do financing.
Right? Just funnel that money through House Dorado. We need cash flow.
But the other thing that you also get from that insight check is that you get a sense that Jabia is sort of a genuinely I guess the closest you could think of to a genuinely a genuine person. You can't yet judge him whether he's good or ill. But he's genuine.
Okay. Also, undermining House Sham falls in the good category. So,
yeah. And there's parts of this conversation too that inform this, where Jabia says, "My sister would be fine with allowing our decrepit, corrupt house to continue down its decrepit and corrupt path, and allowing agents who would take advantage of everything that we have built as a family to rule over it so that they can live fat on and decadent on everything that our ancestors have built." And I would take that back, and I would reestablish House Sham as a shining beacon of what a merchant house should be in this world. What that means ultimately, who fucking knows? I mean, that could mean reestablishing massive amounts of slavery, but it could also mean something completely the opposite. But I mean, he doesn't really he plays it very close to the vest.
It could mean free market economies with independent oversight committees and slush fund for underprivileged.
Oh yeah, it could mean all kinds of things. Whatever it means is he doesn't want House Sham to continue the way it is right now, which is a bloated a bloated institution that exists solely to support the decadence of his sister and his family.
Again, how do you feel Char responds to that?
Let's give Char an insight check. Oh my god, I rolled a 1. Char is enthralled by Jabia at this point. I mean, not completely enthralled, but definitely on Jabia's side.
Okay.
Because he has presented a very clear and concise idea of, because yeah, shit. And there was, oh man, there was something else. Oh man, what was it?
You know what? I think that is
Yeah.
actually the point at which Geza waits for Char to ask the question, what does that mean? And if Char doesn't ask the question, Geza will insert himself.
I would say that Geza, okay, I hate to play another player's character. But I
Totally.
think in this situation, the need for Agafari timber and the way that that coincides with his focus might kind of cloud his vision somewhat.
Well, also, he's saying enough that's good enough
Yeah.
without specifics that I could see that being good enough. Undermine House, Sham, get Agafari Timber. That's like checking boxes.
Okay.
But when he says the thing about what a merchant house should be, if Char doesn't say what should a merchant house be, Geza will say, let's take a step back. What should a merchant house be?
Uh, 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 I, Jabia of House Sham, who do I have the privilege of speaking to?
Geza Akos. I'm one of Char's closest confidants. Isn't that right, Char?
And he says yes. And Jabia says, I don't think I've encountered someone of your stripe before.
So you've never met a Silver Rock?
No, I haven't. I would hate to mislabel you. Are you Eric Cochran? You
I am a northern tribe.
But you're
So
not
I'm
a Katha.
no, they're decidedly southern tribe.
Okay. Well, it's a pleasure to meet you. Having said that, what a merchant tribe should be, we stand outside the purview, or we should stand outside the purview and the control of the Sorcerer Kings. And he looks sideways. He makes sure that Minvian isn't near to hear him say that. We stand as the checks and balances of this world. We exist not as citizens of any state or any city-state. How Sham should not be beholden to Nibene. House Vordan should not be beholden to Kalek. House Stel should not be beholden to Hamanu. And yet we are. We have established ourselves within each of the 7 cities, the 7 great houses, the 7 great cities. We profess that we stand independent. We profess that we exist outside, not as citizens. And yet, the major trading house of Vordan is here. The major trading house of Stel is in Uruk. The major trading house of Sham is in Nibene. How are we not connected? How are we not beholden? How are we not enslaved?
Oh, we very much are.
If we are to elevate the people of Athos outside of servitude, we must truly become independent. My sister understands this, and that is why she shipped me off to the fringes of the Ringing Mountains.
Because she doesn't want to be truly independent?
She wants to live her decadent life inside the walls of Estate Sham, in the noble quarters of Nibene, have her orgies and her parties, let her agents run the business into the ground, one generation after the next, until all that is left of Sham is a bereft and desiccated corpse, coughing out its last dusty gasps in the desert of this forsaken world. And I would change that.
Since we're speaking purely hypothetically about this potential future, let's look further. So you're outside of state control. Whose oversight does it fall to? Who keeps your house from being another monolith of pain?
No one keeps it from being that. They have their ties with Nibene, and that's all they need. Our agents do what they will, and those who care are cast aside.
This is good?
It's terrible. How is it good?
I'm asking, this is your fantasy thought experiment. We escape the control of Nibene, of Tyr, and House Sham exists as its own free entity under no one's control and no oversight, and
Well, we return to the way that the houses used to be. 1,000 years ago, several hundred years ago, it's been a slow decline. But if you know, no merchants, and your companion who has come with you, I've heard her name is Desi of House Dorada. I've not heard about House Dorada, supposedly from Uruk, but I don't recall a House Dorada in Uruk. Maybe an upstart house. I'm not saying that she's hiding.
Do we lie to
I
some-
don't know every house that ever existed. I don't know every minor house that has ever existed, obviously. But the point that I'm trying to make is that we as merchants, and Marigal would know the same, we're not citizens of these cities, and yet we depend upon them for our life and our livelihood. And there was a time in the past when we did not. There was a time in the past when we were truly free, and we called no city home. And our estates, I guess if you could call that, well, our estates were on the sands of Athos. We traveled. We did not call a place home. We moved. And we benefited the people because we brought the people what they needed to live and to exist. The things that the senators and the nobility and the aristocrats of this place could not provide them. It's what the elves do now. And is that what you want? A world where elves are the purveyors of free thought, of free commerce? Elves would kill us. If they could, the elves would return us to a world 1,000 years ago where they were the dominant species and we were ruled by them under their thumb.
I posit no outcomes or desires in this thought experiment of yours. I was merely seeking to understand your perspective. Sounds good to me.
That's what I hope for. You're not an agent, are you? I don't think you are. I wouldn't assume.
I an agent of the crown.
The crown? What crown? Crown of who?
Kings? I don't know who you speak of. I'm an agent of no one but my own free will.
Very well. That is what I was hoping. Someone as unique as yourself must obviously see the importance of the individual, the importance of identity.
I do. Metagame, Joe Annabi is thinking a lot about libertarianism. And stuff. And I don't know how to like apply real world thought to this conversation. In a way that isn't spoiling.
There's no. Like it's there's definitely libertarianism inside his brain, obviously. So I mean, like, you know, let that go as far as you want it to be, and it could be misguided. It could be, I mean, who knows? It could be the perspective of freedom fighter, you know, who there's all these different ways that you can think about it. But yeah.
But at the very least, free market capitalism is probably better than some sort of top-down rule from corrupt, you know, state rulers or whatever.
And when you and I would also have to see, like, the kind of the way that I'm thinking of it is like, you get to a place where the world is this corrupt, any system is better, no matter how corrupt that system is, that seeks to replace it, because this is absolute tyranny that we live in here.
Yeah. So libertarian capitalism is better than tyranny. So fair enough.
What Jabia says ultimately is like, at the end of the day, I am enslaved to my sister. I don't know if you have ever experienced slavery or servitude.
Have I experienced slavery at the hands of your sister? Not sure. I've definitely experienced slavery.
Well, he kind of pauses, like, I mean, not exactly what I was saying. The hands of my sister. No. Oh, no. Like, I'm not suggesting that you were ever a slave to my sister, but I am currently in a state of servitude to my sister, trying to break my bonds. And I'm not sure if you have ever been in a position like that, where you have had to be in servitude to someone else and you have to break your bonds.
Indeed.
And you would do anything, correct? Anything to end that.
Well, not anything.
But you would do anything in your power to make sure that you yourself and no one else around you that you loved or cared for ever had to experience that, correct?
Certainly.
This is what I want for House Sham. House Sham was once great. And it could be great again. But my sister won't allow it. And I'm here because I was invited, because I was in town doing some errand for my sister. And that's where we are right now.
Well, I'm glad it's you here instead of her.
Well, thank the elements and the dragon. You've never had to meet her. Because she is as bad as any sorcerer king. And I'm at a point in my life where I know that my life is in danger saying these things out loud, but I don't care anymore. I've been cast out to that outpost for a decade now. And what do I have to lose?
Now that's the kind of free action I respect.
If there's anything that you need from me, I'll be in town through the games. I would like to get to know you more. You're interesting. I've never seen your stripe before in the Tablelands. And you're friends with Char from Kled. I think there's business that we can do. And if we do it correctly, perhaps I can circumvent my sister. And perhaps we can start to rebuild House Sham. And rebuild Kled in the process. I understand that they're excavating the ruins of Camelot, and it's a noble pursuit. The dwarven people deserve a place to call their own, as do everyone. I'd help them in that regard. And of course, their coin would be certainly, well, you understand.
It's very plain, and good that you say it out loud because I know what you're saying.
Okay. Before we wrap it up tonight and get on to the big fight next time, anything else anybody wants to do before you retire to dinner? And I'll do a quick explanation of how dinner proceeds, and then we will return next time.
No, I'm prepared for my fight.
Okay.
I mean, I don't think we need to really get into it. For the most part, Marigold seems pretty chatty. Moak's going to pump her for as much information as he can get out of her about this city and especially the telepaths, psionicists, the school of the way. He's definitely interested in that idea. But for the most part, it seems like there's a lot of free thinkers at this orgy.
Well,
between August and her and whatever, right? So
what you learn also from this night is that these symposia are in the spirit of free thought.
These are don't share these ideas with the Templars that are just over there, right? What are those guys? Well, but
the okay, so none of you have actually engaged Minvian in a conversation, so you're not really sure, but it seems like everybody is pretty fucking open. And what you ultimately get is that this represents the unique privilege of the elite classes of the seven cities. They can come to these high class symposia. They can speak openly and unfettered without much threat of repercussion, because it all represents hypothetical thought. This is a place to share philosophical ideas with impunity. And it is understood that it does not actually represent your true intentions. So when everyone leaves here tonight, they might end up going back to their cozy worlds where they adhere to the status quo. But here inside the symposium, you can open up and you can speak things that everyone understands might not actually be your like it's just all hypothetical, and it exists for that sole purpose. Okay. Does that make sense? It's a cultural thing. And so outside of it, you're unlikely to have these conversations if you meet again, say at the Golden Inex or in the street. It's just
it's just you can't just ideas don't just fall out of the sky like that. You you have to still think them. So
they think them.
So regardless, Moak is not sharing any of his personal thoughts. Yeah. He's more than willing to listen to whatever bullshit they want to talk about. Yeah. Especially because it all seems so self-incriminating, which is interesting. So, but that's fine.
I mean, a lot of this, just as a kind of reference where I'm taking these kind of like ideas. This is kind of like the way that Roman culture like worked, like the ancient world. And one of the problems was like, like for instance, who was it? I can't remember. One of the ancient philosophers took his ideas that he would espouse inside these kind of highfalutin places, and then took them out to the streets, and that's when he got tried. As long as they stayed inside the houses of the wealthy, and then did not actually interface with the public, everything was copacetic. Because here in the house of Nerissa, you're not influencing anyone. You're not changing the minds of the plebeian class.
Right. Which
You're
was the fear.
you're only speaking hypothetically to other like-minded individuals of the higher classes who indulge themselves in highfalutin conceptual talk, but theoretically never act upon it.
Right. Which was the fear with telling a geese or anyone about the reading primers.
Yeah.
They're like into theoretical help, but practical applications in violation of the state
exactly
are punishable by death.
And I think that Geza probably would understand that idea better than anyone else. Well, other than Desi. I think Desi and Geza, the two of you would understand that everything that has been said here is smoke blowing. It's like, as far as you are concerned, it's probably smoke blowing. You get to see the innermost mind of these individuals, but you realize that at the end of the day, they're still ruled by tyranny, and their thought does not leave this place. It does not enter into the public world.
And a lot of them don't necessarily have the courage of their convictions.
Exactly. And if they did, and if there was any sense amongst the Templars that they actually did have the courage of their convictions, like the idea that you actually were, you had in your possession reading primers that you were distributing, and not just saying, oh, it's so terrible the lower classes have to experience these horrible things, and wouldn't it be great if House Sham could return to its roots and blah blah blah. Like it's all hypothetical, but you actually are carrying around something real, something that actually affects actual change, and that would be incredibly dangerous even in a space like this. And it's probably a good thing that you didn't bring it up within this context. So, and for somebody like Ma'ak, who comes from a culture where like everything is very very earnest.
Yeah, we don't have a lot of deception between each other. There's no point to it.
Yeah. We change or we don't. But here it's, it's like, it's a lot of, what do you call it? Like,
bullshit.
Yeah, it's bullshit. Yeah, it's a lot of bullshit. It's a lot of bullshit. It's politics. Ultimately, it's people posturing for position, reading others. And I think that would have been pretty clear, like even without insight rolls to all of you, is like, this is all like a bunch of posturing bullshit, seeing who we can garner favor with, and so on and so forth. It's one of the at first probably everything that was happening this evening was probably very enheartening. You're like, oh my god, like everyone here like wants a better world. But then you have to ultimately, tonight you're going to leave and you're going to head back into the street, and you're going to see the terrible conditions of the city, and realize like these people are just like they're living inside their privileged bubble where they can say these things and never have to actually do anything about it.
Yeah.
But August is a senator. That dude should know better.
Well, he donates 20% of his crops every year.
Yeah, I know. What a fucking saint that guy is.
Yeah. Yeah. Oh, yeah. He should know better. So okay. So having said that, anything last before we wrap up for this evening?
Nope.
Okay. So you guys continue to mingle for a little while, have some more small talk. I think at this point, just like I was saying, like you start to realize like how much bullshit is being shoveled throughout the townhouse. And then you retire to the back quarters, tables and basically couches are brought out, and everyone is assigned a place. The whole clutch is basically stationed all the way at the far end. So if we look at the map here, all the way up at the top, this very top room here, this U-shaped room, that's where Narissa, Augie Sebastocles, Minvian, and the other high guests that I've named so far, though that's where they are. Neva, even Marigal, that's where they all are end up sitting. They lay down on the couches that array this. Around the rest of the courtyard, couches are brought out, and you're all of the rest of the guests are basically assigned seats. You guys are basically stationed all the way down here at the end, right in this area next to the screen that leads into the four quarters of the townhouse. And then servants start to bring out like actually full on tables. They bring out whole tables that have platters of food on them. And you see all of these dishes come past you, and the most spectacular dishes come out and go right past you. The first one that you see, there's like several courses, but the big one that you see is something called Aphasia amicum. Aphasia amicum is a dish that all of you, even Desi, you've only ever heard of, if you've ever heard of it. Aphasia amicum basically means all of Athos. And it is a dish that is metaphorically representative of everything we can fucking eat in Athos, all in one dish. And you don't get to partake of it because it goes right past you up to the head table. And Aphasia amicum, it has a giant Inex head, and then behind it is a big Inex bladder. And that bladder has been stuffed with Basrog and Erdlu and every kind of fucking creature and spice you can imagine. It is basically a representative of all things. And every ingredient comes from the most supple examples of its species. And you're not going to get to taste it. It's taken right past you, but it just shows you the excess of this symposium. And then everything else. I mean, there's pharaoh cakes. There's like everything you can imagine comes out past you. More wine is served. You can see that at this point there are different amphora that have different designs on them. The amphora with the most spectacular designs go past you by unseen servants, and it's very ostentatious. It's meant to tell everyone that it passes exactly where they stand within the hierarchy of the symposium, because by the time the wine gets served to you, it's in a simple, unadorned clay vessel. It's still great wine. It's amongst the best that you've ever had, because even the worst wine that Narissa would serve is still fit for kings in most places. And more conversation is had. There are more entertainments to be had. There is a jester that comes out in the middle of it, and tells what is ostensibly the Athasian version of, I don't know if all of you have ever heard this, the aristocrats joke.
Yeah.
They eat turducken and tell the aristocrats joke. This party's the worst.
Mark won't get it either. He'll just be like,
yeah. And they all laugh and laugh and laugh. And just so you know, the bard, which the bard's name is the magnificent Crodlow. And he sounds like this. He sounds like Skeletor. And tells the aristocrats joke. But at Athos, it's the nobles joke. And then just to wrap it up, thank you for not making me tell the Athasian version of the aristocrats joke.
Yeah.
I was prepared. If anybody was like,
I've never heard the aristocrats.
You could tell the ending of the joke at the beginning of next episode.
Yeah. And so
we're the Astocles.
the Astocles. Fuck you. And then eventually, after the courses are all served, the tables are taken away. The couches are all kind of brought out and moved around the rim of the pool. And next time, Craucus and Haxa face off. And having said that, thank you everybody for joining us again for Dark Sun, Fire, and Sand. Have a safe and lovely 2 weeks. We'll see you next time.
Okay. Wave goodbye. Okay.